Assalamualaikum and greetings to Miss and my fellow classmates. My name is NORALIA and this is my team members. We are from Group 2. Today, we will be presenting on the subsidy rationalizations on petrol and diesel's policy in Malaysia. I will start with the introduction of fuel subsidy rationalization policy. Fuel subsidies play an important role in Malaysia's economy, especially in managing the cost of living for citizens. First and foremost, fuel subsidies specifically for Row 95 petrol and diesels have been implemented in Malaysia for such a long time as initiative to reduce the cost of living and maintain the fuel prices for citizens. The system was first introduced through the Automatic Pricing Mechanism (APM) in 1983, which later supported a blanket subsidy system where fuel was subsidized for all citizens regardless of their income level. However, over time, the system has led to several issues such as high government expenditure, subsidy leakage, and unfair benefits. In response, the government introduced subsidy rationalizations to improve efficiency. Next, the subsidy rationalizations is a government reform to improve how fuel subsidies are managed and provided in Malaysia. It focused on reducing inefficient spending and ensuring that support is targeted to B40 and M40 households instead of being given to everyone.
Okay, so for my part, I'm gonna talk about cost, issues, and benefits for Malaysian rationalization subsidy. So basically, government often uses subsidies to lower the price of essential goods such as fuel to reduce the burden on the public. However, the old subsidy system has caused several economic problems over time. So one of the main problems is that fuel subsidies are very costly for the government. It costs billions every year, which could actually uses the budget for another department or section such as healthcare or education. Besides that, untargeted subsidies also benefit the wealthy groups rather than the low-income group. For an example, wealthy households actually with multiple cars consume more fuel rather than low-income families, so they receive more subsidy benefit rather than the low-income group. Because of these issues, the government introduced subsidy rationalization. For an example, fuel assistance is limited to 200 ringgit per month for eligible citizens. This is to control spending and ensure the subsidy is more targeted. So cost of the subsidy rationalizations are fuel prices may increase for some groups, leading to higher cost of living. Small businesses are also affected because of transport and delivery costs became more expensive. Public transport services may also face higher operating costs. So if they can't increase the price, they might reduce services, which will affect reliability. Overall, this can also contribute to inflation where prices of daily goods like food may increase. Okay, so benefits of subsidy rationalizations are the government can reduce unnecessary spending and improve budget stability. The savings can be used for important sectors such as healthcare, education, and public services. It also allows better targeting, especially for B40 and M40 group. In addition, it helps reduce smuggling because fuel prices are closest to market values or it is harder to exploit.
Now I will explain why our government is changing its old economic habit. I will cover the main objective. The government needs to fit its budget and ensure long-term economic stability. For a long time, Malaysia used a blanket subsidy system, which is the fuel was cheap for everyone, no matter their poor or rich. Just think about it. 20 high-income earner driving a luxury SUV with a massive engine gets thousands of ringgit in subsidies every month because their fuel tank is huge. Meanwhile, a big delivery rider on small motorcycle use very little fuel and get almost nothing. This is completely unfair for the big one because they don't get the same amount for every month. This is actually a massive waste of public funds. Therefore, the main goal of targeted subsidies is to stop this waste and ensure financial aid goes directly to the vulnerable groups who actually need it.
There are two types of actors that involved in this policy. Firstly, government. For government, we have Ministry of Finance, MOF, Domestic Trade and Cost of Living, KPDN, and lastly, Inland Revenue Board, LHDN. For MOF, they are responsible for managing Malaysia's policy and subsidy allocation. They oversees national budgeting related to fuel subsidies, for example, Belanjawan 2024. They explains how global oil price change affect Malaysia's economy and implements targeted subsidy system to reduce government financial burden. For KPDN, they act as the main enforcement body for subsidy rationalisation policy. They implement fuel control systems such as SKDS and SKPS. They monitor fuel disruption through digital system and fleet cards, and they prevent subsidy leakage, smuggling, and misuse of controlled fuel. And lastly, LHDN, they verify household income to determine subsidy eligibility. They use PAD and tax database to classify income groups. They ensure subsidies are given to eligible households. The next one is non-government. We have one example of oil companies, which is Petronas, and one example for NGOs, which is Malaysian Oil, Gas and Energy Services Council, MOGSC. For Petronas, they are a national oil company that managing Malaysia's petroleum resources. They implement advanced operational systems to improve efficiency and productivity. They engage in global partnerships, such as being partnership for Mercedes AMG Formula One team to strengthen technological development. And they support long-term sustainability of oil and gas sector through innovation and strategic management. For MOGSC, they act as an industry association representing oil and gas service companies. They provide feedback and recommendation to government on policy implementation. They share information and educate stakeholders on oil and gas industry issues.
Next, I will explain about fuel price float that was introduced in 2014. So this system was introduced by the government in 2014. So under this system, the oil prices are adjusted according to the global oil prices rather than being controlled by the government. So in the other word, so if the fuel price can increase or decrease according to the world oil market. So that's the meaning of the fuel price float. So this system also can reduce government burdens because government does have not to spend too much money to keep the fuel price low at all the time. And then it also can prevent subsidy from being used from the high income groups who do not really need it. So next, I will talk about Budi Madani programs. So Budi Madani is a government assistance programs that help people who are affected by the increase in diesel prices. So eligible people will receive 2,000 every month. So these programs mainly help people who have private diesel vehicles. So this can reduce the burden that are caused by the increase in diesel prices. So for example, people small farmer or small business owner who usually will use car to go to their work can use this support that are given by the government. Next, I will talk about fleet card system. So fleet card system is actually a special fuel card for registered logistic company in Malaysia. So this special fuel card allow approved logistic company to buy subsidies diesels for their business use. So for example, a bus company can use this card to buy diesels for bus that carry passengers every day. So this system help government to monitor and also control diesel subsidy more better and clearly. And other than that, the government also can monitor diesel usage more clearly, and they can check how much the diesels each company use and make sure it match their business activities. Next, I will talk about diesel digital verification system. So the government use digital technology for verification to make sure the subsidy are given correctly. So user need to identify their subsidies using their IC and also driving license. So for example, when applying for fuel subsidies support, a person must upload their IC or like driving license to verify their identities. Or like for another example, if you want to use subsidy in the TNG apps, you need to upload your IC in the apps, so it can ensure that you have driving license. So this system ensure that only eligible people will receive the subsidies.
Next, for SWOT analysis, for strength, it will reduce government expenditure. Based on the data, it shows that from 2024 to 2025, there is a decreased amount of about 4 billion ringgit for subsidy use. This decrease will reduce national deficit. Therefore, national funds didn't go to waste and can be supported for others aspects. Furthermore, it also reduces illegal activities. Illegal activities such as smuggling between cross-border network will decrease. Therefore, it will remain fair for the public to use the national fuel. The biggest weakness when we transform from blanket subsidy to targeted system is it will slow down the process. This is because rather than using fully automated digital system, the government used the manual checkpoint. Therefore, it will delay massive administrative process. Next, it will get heavy pushback from the public. Public resist because they are worried about the cost of living and drop in their monthly household savings. For opportunities, it will modernize the user system, use of micro and digital apps to track quota in real life. With modern digital system, it will open massive opportunities for automated data driven by national governance. In the meantime, it also gives opportunities for the green energy transition. With this, people will search for other alternatives, such as invest in conventional electric vehicle (EV). For the third, it will give inflation impact. This is because removing fuel protection will trigger rising prices for general consumer goods. This hits the middle income group the hardest because they face reduced purchasing power, but they do not give the direct cash aid, which can slow down the national economic growth. Besides that, give political backlash and raising aid costs. History shows that rising fuel price, like the 2008, can give protests that can severely damage the political confidence. To prevent this, the government has been forced to increase cash aid from 200 ringgit to 300 ringgit for eligible individuals, creating a different financial burden.
To sum up all the things that have been discussed, the fuel subsidy rationalisation policy in Malaysia was introduced to improve the efficiency of government expenditure and to make sure that subsidies are provided to those who truly need them. The previous blanket subsidy system helped in reducing the cost of living, but it created issues such as high government expenditure, subsidy leakage, and smuggling. Therefore, the system was reformed from a blanket subsidy approach to a targeted subsidy approach. This policy has a short-term objective like optimized resource allocations and the long-term objective like structural economic reforms. The actors involved in this policy includes government parties like MOF, LHDN, and KPDN, and the non-government Petronas and MOGSC. In this context, the government has implemented several programs such as Budi Madani, the fleet card systems, and the diesel's digital verification systems to ensure that the success of this policy can be achieved. Even though it has many strengths such as reduced illegal activities and opportunities like improving digital governance, it also faces weaknesses such as the difficulty of the implementations and major threats like inflation during implementations. Overall, this policy focused on creating a more efficient and fair subsidy system. However, its success depends on proper enforcement and public acceptance. Thank you for watching this video.